I get the feeling that somewhere on Guy Ritchie's bucket list is to direct a Bond movie. I think he just checked it off. The Man From U.N.C.L.E. is a reinvention of the 1960s TV show as a 1960s film, but shot and released in 2015. Stars Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer as a couple of spies, one American and one Russian, as they have to work together to save the world. Guy Ritchie directs with all the visual pizzazz that we're used to from him in a movie that I think overall works really, really well, especially as a 60s era spy thriller. This movie really feels like it was done in the 60s, from the dialogue to the way it's shot, the framing even, the way these characters are captured on screen. It looks like the film is even from the 60s. For that matter, the way they use innuendo in this movie feels very old school. You know, you think of movies now and they can just say anything they want and just lay it right there on the screen. But back in the day, they had to layer that stuff underneath, and this movie kind of does that. Now, that's not to say the innuendo isn't free-flowing in this movie. It is, as was the case also with spy thrillers in the 60s. But it's just interesting to see the kind of the way they do that. The wit feels very much like that era. We're not used to that dry wit, you know, that kind of in the face of all adversity, maintaining calm, being stoic, having that staid presence and still delivering those lines. There's something very confident and very interesting about that wit in dialogue. We're more used to, I guess you would call it a wet wit instead of a dry wit, where it's all layered with kind of the sarcasm or the winking and the nodding. But this is just very straightforward in there, and I kind of liked that. I also thought Henry Cavill was perfect for this role. He's got that debonair, charming American spy thing down, and you really buy in. Very Cary Grant. Felt a lot like Cary Grant from some of those old movies. Maybe even a little Sean Connery in there with that confidence and just that stride. I really bought him in this. Now, that's not to say that this is a perfect movie. As amazing as, and we didn't really even talk about the action, I will touch on that here. The action is spectacular and inventive. Guy Ritchie really uses the camera in interesting ways several times throughout this movie, and I loved. But as inventive as it is, there's not much between the action scenes. The story in this feels very basic. There's not a lot compelling about it, not a lot to think about, so that when, you know, things aren't blowing up on screen, you get kind of bored. You kind of go from brilliance to boredom throughout this movie and back and forth, and that's a bad experience. Having said that, I think the brilliance part does win out over the boredom part overall, meaning The Man From U.N.C.L.E. is a fun watch, an interesting movie, if nothing else, and something I think you'll walk away from, if not having a good time, at least having something interesting to talk about. And if you love film, it's one I would definitely recommend. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. Oh, I didn't give it a grade. Let's go with a B. It is style over substance, but I liked the style enough that the lack of substance didn't keep it from being too bad for me. So yeah, let's go with a B. Thanks for checking it out. And as always, I've got some stuff up here in the cards. If you click on there, you can find out more about the channel, the website, yourmoviefriend.com. There's a link there. Also a link to some other reviews in there. Again, if you click on the little eye up there. Also a way to donate to the channel if you'd like to do that. Very much appreciate it. I'd also encourage you to find me on Periscope. Download the Periscope app to your mobile device, and I come out of every movie, fire up Periscope, and have a conversation with you about the film right after I've seen it. Kind of get your questions, to know what you're interested about the movie, all that kind of fun stuff. Also check out the podcast. SiftPop is the name of the podcast. Happens live every Friday. You can listen through Mixler.com. But if you want to search for it on iTunes or Stitcher, you can do that. Just search for SiftPop, and it'll be in the feed there as well. All right, we're going to do the best ever challenge now. This is well, you get to pick the best movie ever in a particular category and also try to identify my choice. We're going to go with the best Guy Ritchie movie ever. Mine is the first one that didn't star Benedict Cumberbatch or Johnny Lee Miller. It's the first of the ones that didn't star those two guys. A little bit roundabout, but I think you can get there. Leave a guess at the answer to mine, as well as leave your best ever Guy Ritchie movie in the comments so we can talk about it. And as always, I'll give you about 5 extra seconds here to hit the subscribe button right down in this corner. Just click the little logo down there and hit subscribe.